Okay, imagine this. You're in the middle of one of the planet's most grueling ultramarathons. You're surrounded by other runners, there are organizers, checkpoints, and then, just like that, you vanish. You're gone. Everyone assumes you're dead. Your family starts to mourn, but your story, it's nowhere near over. This is the unbelievable true story of Mauro Prosperi.
And that's the big question, right? How is that even possible? You're in a highly organized race in the Sahara Desert with 133 other runners, and one of them just disappears. No trace, no clues, nothing. It just doesn't make sense.
So, who was this guy at the center of the mystery? Well, let me tell you, he was no amateur. Mauro Prosperi was a highly trained Italian police officer, a master pentathlete. His whole life was built around discipline, endurance, and just pushing the human body to its absolute limits. This guy was tough, he was resilient, basically the last person you'd ever expect to just get lost. And the race he was in, the Marathon des Sables. They call it the world's toughest foot race for a reason. We're talking 251 kilometers across the desert over 7 days. And here's the really brutal part. You have to be totally self-sufficient. You carry all your own food, your sleeping bag, everything. The only thing the organizers give you is water at the checkpoints. That's it.
Oh, and then there's the heat. 46 degrees Celsius. That's over 115 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're not just racing against other people, you are in a constant battle against an environment that is, quite literally, trying to kill you. The heat is just this relentless, suffocating character in this whole story.
So, on the 4th day of the race, that's when everything changed. A massive, violent sandstorm just rolled in and swallowed the entire desert. For 8 straight hours, it was a total whiteout. You couldn't see a thing. It completely erased the landscape. And that's the moment Mauro Prosperi vanished.
And his descent into desperation, wow, it was terrifyingly fast. So day 4, he's lost in the storm. By day 5, he's already out of water. He actually sees a helicopter and fires his only rescue flare, but they don't see him. Day 6, he stumbles upon an abandoned shrine. A tiny glimmer of hope maybe, but it's empty. And by day 7, he has completely given up. He accepts that he's going to die.
So inside that shrine, just waiting for a rescue that he now knows isn't coming, he had to do something pretty unbelievable to stay alive. He started catching bats that were roosting on the ceiling, cutting their necks with his pocket knife, and drinking their blood, just to get some fluid, any fluid, into his body.
After days of this, he finally hit his breaking point. He was convinced he was going to die a slow, agonizing death out there, so he decided to take control. He used a piece of charcoal to write a final note to his wife and family, and then he cut his wrists and laid down, waiting for the end.
But, in what has to be one of the most incredible twists of fate you will ever hear, death just refused to take him. He woke up the next morning. He was incredibly weak, obviously, but he was alive. His body was so severely dehydrated that his blood had thickened up, almost like syrup, and it clotted the wounds before he could bleed out. The very thing that was killing him is what ultimately saved his life. It's just wild.
And this moment, waking up when by all accounts he should have been dead, it was a massive psychological turning point. He felt that since death had rejected him, his journey wasn't over. He went from passively waiting around for rescue or death to actively hunting for life. He wasn't a victim anymore. He was a survivor.
So, he came up with a new strategy. He started walking only during the cooler hours of the morning and evening, and he'd rest during that brutal midday sun. At night, he'd bury himself in the sand to stay warm. He was eating snakes, lizards, anything he could find. He basically became a creature of the desert.
And just to give you an idea of how incredibly lost he was, he had wandered 291 kilometers off course. That's about 180 miles. He didn't know it, but he had actually crossed the border from Morocco into Algeria. The search parties? They were looking for him in the wrong country entirely.
The physical toll this took on his body was just immense. In those 9 days, he lost 15 kilograms. That's over 33 pounds. His body was literally eating itself to keep him going. Doctors who looked at him later said his organs were so damaged that, medically speaking, he should have been dead.
And then, on the 9th day, rescue finally came. But it wasn't a helicopter, it wasn't a search party. He saw goat droppings, a sign of life, and he followed them to a tiny oasis. And that's where he found a young shepherd girl. Now she was so terrified by his skeletal appearance that she ran away at first, but thankfully she came back with her family. And just like that, Mauro was saved.
So let me ask you this.
After an experience that pushed you to the absolute edge of human endurance, after drinking bat blood to survive, after literally trying to take your own life because all hope was lost, would you ever go back to the place that almost killed you?
Well, Mauro Prosperi did. He returned to compete in the Marathon des Sables 6 more times. 6! He even managed to finish in 13th place in one of those races. It's just unbelievable.
And it all comes down to his own profound words. He said the Sahara didn't become his enemy, it became his greatest teacher. The very place that stripped him of everything ended up showing him what life truly means. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What can we learn from the experiences that nearly break us?